it's a really exciting fight. You know, a great fight to watch. Not necessarily if you're a Cole Froch fan at this time, because he's taken a lot of shots, a lot of punishment. He can't get a bearing in this fight. You know, he mentally wasn't quite ready for it. You know, he wasn't switched on. I think he's definitely a student of the art in that he has to tick the boxes in terms of his preparation physically to know that he's able to fight, and that stuff must come very easy to him. So he knows he's got to run in this, run this distance in this time and do this many chin-ups and do this much sparring and do this and do that. But mentally, I don't think he really wanted to compete with me because I was making it difficult for him, and I was winning.
Were you a better athlete than him? Like, were you physically fitter and stronger than him?
No. I mean, maybe I'm definitely a more explosive athlete than he was at that stage, and I was at that stage. But I'd say he was a better athlete than me in other ways. Like he had better stamina than I did, more of an endurance type fighter. So he can punch very hard. I mean, you've sparred him. I can also punch really hard. He's definitely got a great chin. So he's certainly got a better chin than I do. I'd say that technically I'm a better fighter than he is. I think I've got a lot more to my game than he does. He's banking on his endurance. He's banking on his conditioning. And he's hoping that I'm going to tire late and that he's going to get to me. We will never find out because Howard Foster stops the fight prematurely. Me and Carl have done a lot of talks together now, and I think that's what the only thing we can both agree on is that the fight was stopped prematurely. His belief is that he was going to go on and come on strong and finish me, and my belief is that is total and utter nonsense. But we're allowed to have them different opinions, and it's fun because we go to different crowds, different people, different around the country, and some things are split different ways. But
after that first round, such a heavy knockdown, he showed tremendous grit to get up and fight on. And he was a bit shaky for a couple of rounds, but eventually he did kind of start boxing his way back into the fight. When he's doing that, and you said like round 1 and 2 and 3 were so dominant, and the tide did start to shift, he was starting landing heavier blows on you. First he was landing shots, and then heavier shots. He was getting his foot back into the fight. Where you at that moment mentally?
So, I mean, that fight in particular, he has a torrid time from the start, and then in the 6th round, he has his worst round. Even though he doesn't go down, he has his worst round. It's a free target for me with the right hand, and I go a little bit right hand happy. I throw too many right hands, and I can't miss. And at that point, I've probably punched him numb. It's a weird expression, but it's like the fight's now settled. We're 6 rounds in. We're both very tired. It's been a very physically demanding fight. The explosiveness that I have at the start of the fight has dulled a touch because we're fatigued, but I'm still landing full-blooded heavy shots, and he's not riding or evading any of them whatsoever. He's just taking them. The 7th round, so now we're halfway. And I'm fully content and happy to win this fight on points. 7th round.
Do you think you have to at this point? You mentioned, I know exactly what you mean, you punch him numb, those shots, those heavy shots. If you don't knock him out early, you're probably not going to knock him out now. Do you think now you're going to win on points? Is that where your head's at?
At this point, I'm like, right, well, I need to go back to a surprise attack because he knows everything that's coming. I'm trying to take off his head. So I've got to go back to a surprise attack. So I take my foot off the gas a little bit in the 7th round. But the problem I've got with someone like Cole Froch is he is now desperate for anything that he can feel is a swing in his direction. So even just him not getting beaten up as bad, he sees him getting back in the fight. Yeah. It's like, no, you still lost the 7th round. You're still losing the 8th. But I'm just trying to, I suppose, conserve energy. Save for them last 3 rounds, which is 10, 11, 12, which is championship rounds, which I've been time and time again. I've been 12 rounds with Glenn Johnson, with James DeCow, and a few others as well. I've been training as a 12-round fighter since my 9th fight. That's when I was a championship level fighter. So, yeah, it's just how this is the problem with boxing is because it's so subjective. It's just an opinion sport, and it's fought with emotion, so you get blinded by that, and I'm sure I'm blinded by it. Carl's blinded by it. The fans are blinded by it. There's a slight lull in the 7th round for me. The 8th round's pretty good. The 9th round, I'm now picking back up for these last 3 rounds, and then we've watched the clip time and time again. There's nothing really happens. It's sort of there's a barge. We sort of stumble into each other. I bounce off the ropes. He throws 2 shots. One of them lands. I'm still punching back. All the stuff that you would consider a real fight. Not in any serious trouble. And then Howard Foster jumps in the finish.
Have you spoken to Howard about it?
No, I never spoke to Howard about it. He's reffed my fights with since, and he's judged a few times. The British Boxing Board of Control don't allow their officials to speak after a fight. So it's, like the Premier League, you're not going to get when a referee makes a bum decision, you're not going to get Sky Sports putting a thing under their face and then talk about it. So I agree with that. I think that'll be too much pressure for the officials. They've got a difficult job enough. Don't get me wrong, I think Howard Foster made a bad choice that night, and it would mean the world to me if he one day, in confidence, pulled me to the side and said, please don't tell anyone this, right? But I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I don't think he'll ever do it. I don't think he even believes he made a mistake. I think he backs himself in that regard. He's got unwavering self-belief. But on review of the tape, I'm in no trouble. And he hasn't spared me. He hasn't been compassionate towards me because he's not a compassionate guy if you relate it to the pounding and the beating that he let Carl Froch take. The problem I had was that everyone thought that I was going to get beat that night. That I might make a decent effort early, but Froch will get me late. He's got the championship level experience. He's a tough guy. I run out of steam. He stops me. It's what every pundit said in the build-up. It was what every fan you spoke to in the street would say. It's what people were telling Howard Foster in the build-up, which we have found out. People are sending it to him on Facebook and stuff like that. And then in the moment, he's made a mistake. And whatever, don't get me wrong. I say now I would never change anything in my life because I'm happy now. I am happy with what I got out of boxing, how it finished for me, and I wouldn't roll the dice on changes. Don't get me wrong, I think I could have. There's a strong possibility I could have been an awful lot more successful than I was. And that would have been if Howard Foster didn't stop that fight the first time. It might have been if I didn't get knocked out in the rematch. It could have been many different things, but I don't like when people say, "Oh, we wouldn't have had Wembley if we didn't have that stoppage," because, maybe not. You never know. But also, I was a terrific salesman at the time, and Carl Froch would have definitely wanted revenge, and we would have turned that into a mega fight, and maybe Carl Froch would have had to have engaged a little bit more in the publicity for the rematch than he did.
Could have been a bigger fight, yeah.
And it could have been even bigger. So, but I wouldn't change. I wouldn't necessarily change anything. As I say, at that point in my life, I've got no time. Don't waste time. I've got no time to waste, and I'm trying to live with clear intentions.